Hey everyone, hope it's going well. Lior with Engel & Volkers. I wanted to talk about lead paint and investment property today. I was actually just dealing with a purchase and sales for a client who's buying an investment condo. And just before we were signing PNS, they were talking about, well, tell me, they wanted more details about lead and how it affects them. So this particular unit they're buying, it's an older building. And like most old buildings in Massachusetts and Boston, it's not de-leaded, right? So that means, it means several things, but what it means to what they were really concerned about was how does it affect my resale value, right? And basically we had the conversation that, look, I mean, if you're going to be de-leading a unit, that's great, and it will, it might help you on the resale side, but because the base inventory, as a base, most inventory is just not de-leaded, just because it's old, right? And then there's also the consideration of the type of inventory you're dealing with, right? Because if you have a condo versus a multifamily, it's different, right? Because if you have a condo in a big complex that's not de-leaded, de-leading it, first of all, is not really going to do anything, because you need the common space de-leaded as well to make it, to really classify it as a de-leaded apartment. And second of all, it's really just not going to add as much value, right? I mean, usually the only time you're going to see a real significant value jump is when you're doing it in a multifamily, just because then when on your resale side, then you can sell it to an investor, say it's completely de-leaded, and then they have no restrictions about who they can rent out to, right, without any issues. So that's kind of the situation, is they have to understand that at the end of the day, when you go back and resell your investment unit, right, whenever that is, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the line, most of the other products that you're going to be competing against are also going to be, they're not going to be de-leaded. So does it put you at a disadvantage? Not really, right? I mean, it's kind of like, it's kind of like a base. Now, if the unit is de-leaded, if it's a newer building, or if the building underwent a de-leading process, that certainly puts you at an advantage, because it's just a value add characteristic of the building. But again, when you're in Boston, when you're dealing with such old inventory where the grand majority of things are just lead is an issue, it's really not it's really hard to classify it as a disadvantage for you. So hopefully that made sense. There's a few other things with lead paint that I'm going to talk about in other videos, like about renting out and all that. I mean, that's a whole thing. But hopefully that made sense. If not, put any questions down there. Thank you.